Hello, everybody. I'm Carla Calagaritas here with the Horseman Symposium. We're going to give you some details about that event a little bit later, I promise. It's coming up at the end of March 28th and 29th here in the Ocala area. But first, I want to take advantage of some time that we've been able to wrangle with one of the presenters at the Horseman Symposium, Mr. Pete Rodda. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so glad you're here, and I almost feel like you should be the one doing the interviewing if I was worth being interviewed, because you are a co-host of a TV show called The Horse Talk Show,
Yes,
and you're also a co-host of In the Zone podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about those and what their focuses are?
In the Horse Talk Show, Louisa Barton, who is the host and the owner of the show, she does a diverse group of horsemen of all different disciplines, different horses, all that. And I happened to come in to get interviewed, and she asked me if I wanted to co-host, and 3 years later, I'm still co-hosting, and we're having a blast. So I bring the horsemanship part of it to the show, since that's what I do for a living. And then In the Zone with Ian Robb and Dancing Pete Rodda, which Dancing Pete is my nickname. And that is more about the mental aspect of horsemanship. We actually do more than just professionals in the horse industry. We do professional speed skaters, Olympians, tennis pros. We've done a whole diverse thing, because everybody, in my book, mastery all ends up in the same line.
Oh, that's
so we all talk about the same things. No matter if you're a golfer, a martial arts person, a horseman, a businessman, we get to a point where it's about feel and timing and, when do we need to buy that stock? So we all talk about the same things in mastery. So we use that mental thing and recovery. We talk about recovery on health and a lot what Dr. Rose does, Emily. How can we help our bodies to recover and get prepared for that ride, not just the training aspect. Okay.
You mentioned horsemanship a couple of times already. Tell me what horsemanship means to you. Is there one word that you think captures great horsemanship?
I was actually talking to a student about horsemanship, and I wish I could record it because it was just perfect. I believe horsemanship is the interaction of a language that we have to develop between the horse and the rider, or the horse and the person on the ground, that we both are having a conversation. And in my book, horsemanship is getting the rider or student to actually understand how to do it when they go home, not just, oh, I did it. A lot of people teach that they micromanage the student into doing it, but to me, true horsemanship is teaching the person how they can do it and understand it to a higher level.
So what's the key? I think a lot of us backyard horse people have been to clinics like yours, maybe others, where we get all lit up and excited about what we're learning, but then we get home and we're looking at the horse and we're looking at maybe a couple of new tools we bought and we're going, what now? So how do you help people retain what you're teaching?
Well, what you're describing is what I call pony parties. So you have a good time, and it's experience, so it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you had a good time when the trainer or the horseman was helping you, micromanaging you, or putting you in the right position, which sometimes works for a lot of people. But then they go home and go, oh, what was I supposed to do? Where if you go to a clinic that I teach, we're not moving on until you have 70%, so that when you go home, I want you to be upset when you're at the clinic, but 6 weeks from now, I want you to call me and go, oh my gosh, I got everything everybody was doing at the clinic. And I go, great, that means you can progress without me. And that's what true horsemanship to me is getting the human to be able to move on without having me to be there.
That's wonderful.
But they always come back because now they want more.
They want more, exactly. Right. You've mentioned also the words feel and timing, and I think feel is one of those things that those of us who study horses, various disciplines, it sometimes feels a little elusive. It's kind of like, what exactly is feel, and how do I know if I have it, right? Talk a little bit about feel and how that plays into what you teach.
So feel can be taught. Now, the hard part with feel is just like the hard part with horsemanship. How fast are you going to learn it? Some people can pick it up quick. Some people can't. So what I like to do is I like to do interactions where I go, put your hand on my hand. Okay? Now, don't leave my hand, no matter where it goes. Okay? That's the beginning of feel, but that's physical feel. And that's where we start.
Right.
Right? So then if we were dancing and we were standing, I could spin you around and do all this, but no grabbing. Just like
as long as I kept my hand.
As long as you keep that feel with me, okay?
Right.
Then leave it there.
Oh.
Don't go very far. Now, can I push you with that feel?
Yeah.
It was just a little bit, just like the
yeah.
horses.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how I would teach feel. And then by doing it over and over again and going, did you feel that on the rope? Like there's a lot of times I feel something on the rope. Or people forget feel isn't just a physical thing. Feel is an energy thing. Feel also is a sound thing. So I'll hear somebody whack the ground and I'll go, ooh, that didn't sound good, feel. And I'll turn around and I'll go, who did that whack? And I can't even make the bad sound anymore. That's how much I've practiced it, that I can't even make that bad feel sound. So that's how I like to develop feel. And yes, I think everybody can get to a point in feel. You might not be able to get to the feel of an Olympic rider or Ryan or Jake or all that kind of stuff, but we can get you on the path. And so that's what feel to me is. And then I don't like to teach feel until you got focus.
Okay, talk about that.
So focus gives you feel. So I see so many people trying to teach timing. That's my favorite one. Okay, when the leg hits here, you move here, you do this. And the student's like, I don't even know where I'm going when I'm going riding or on the ground, right? So focus gives you feel, focus and feel give you timing. Now, I learned that in Pirelli from my background with Pat and Linda Pirelli. So, but it means something totally different than what it used to. So now I realize, why are we not teaching more focus? Because you can't teach somebody timing if they can't feel. Well, you can't get somebody to feel if they're not focused. And then there's two aspects of focus. Mental and physical. So you can physically, I can focus on that camera and have the physical there and I'm going, oh, I haven't eaten lunch today. So now I'm mentally just checked out. And that's what happens with the horses. We have a physical part of focus, but then our mental is, okay, when I get up here, I'm going to canter. Oh my gosh. So you just lost where you are.
I was going to say, focus can be sometimes a detriment in riding. Like if I know I used to have a horse many years ago that was very spooky, and I would go into the arena every time and I'd be scanning the horizon. Okay, is that going to bother him? Oh, there comes somebody out of their house with a blower. So
you got good focus.
Yeah, right.
You got great focus if you're looking for danger.
Right, exactly. So how does a rider know what to focus on?
Well, that's a great question. And I didn't get you set up for this, but that was great. I use colored cones because you can get in a dressage arena, and if you understand a dressage arena, you know where you're supposed to be with the horse. But there's some focal points, but there's not as many as I would create for it. So I always say, can you focus out there? How in a 20-meter circle, there's 16 focuses. So I change my focus. Oh, is that riding with your seat? Oh, yeah, it is. Because if I just change my belly button a slight degree, my horse feels that. But so many riders keep their seat here and then they move their reins here. So you're telling the horse to go straight, but you're turning with your legs or your reins.
Okay, so that sounds like physical focus. And what's the mental piece? What do you tell them to focus on mentally?
Okay, so in the mental piece is, what are we doing? What are you doing in that moment?
Stay in the moment.
Yeah, you got to stay in that
moment.
Ride
the patch of grass in front of you, as they say.
That's right. Go to the patch of grass that you're wanting to go to.
Yeah.
Don't think, oh, that other patch looks nicer, because you just change your mental focus, and then the horse goes. Or my favorite is, what's he doing? So where'd you just focus?
Yeah.
Your physical and your mental went to the horse. So let's say you physically go in here, but you're going, I'm supposed to be cantering, because you're mentally still in the ride, right? But your physical went here, and the horse goes, oh, do I have the leadership? Cool. And they go off doing whatever they want to do.
So what does focus feel like to a horse? When you are really, truly focused, physically and emotionally, mentally, what does that feel like to the horse?
What does it feel like when you drive?
well, that depends on if I'm paying attention or not.
Oh, so when you have focus or not. Amazing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
physical or mental. Like we do, I like to get your mastery. This is my favorite thing to do is, what is your mastery? I'm going to use that to teach you what I'm teaching you. Because you have the thought patterns. You just have to put it into horsemanship. And then you have to put the time in. There is no quick fix. Yeah. So when you're driving and let's say it's heavy traffic, right? And you're having to really focus, what does that do for you? Your movements are precise, you're really paying attention, you're braking, you're doing all that. But if you start hitting that music and you start what happens?
Yeah.
Right? Oh gosh, I'm not paying attention. Right?
Yeah.
Or you go like I'll do it. I just taught a lesson. I'm like, oh, that was a great lesson. I got to remember that. And then all of a sudden I'll go, oh shoot, we're stopping. Because I'm not mentally there.
Right.
I'm physically there.
Sometimes when I focus, and I would imagine other writers might experience the same thing, it comes off as intensity. So how do you focus but keep the relaxation so that you're not making your horse go, what the heck's going on? Why is she so intense about that?
Good question. So I got to teach at the Dallas Zoo for behavior with a friend of mine. And he goes, I can't get these keepers to understand these things. So he gave me a list of things he wanted me to teach because he knew I'm good at...
We're talking about people, zookeepers, not animals.
Zookeepers,
okay.
people.
Right.
And one of the questions was, well, what should your focus be? Because we were doing a scale 1 to 10. 10 being you're so focused nobody could get you out of it. 1 is, the squirrel, that kind of focus, right? Yeah. And the girl asked, well, should you have like a 9 or a 10 focus? And I said, no, ma'am, that's too focused. And she goes, well, what do you mean by that? And I said, it's too intense. It creates too much energy towards them. And my friend, that was the animal behaviorist at the zoo, said, well, do you remember that chimp that you were supposed to connect with? And you put your full 10 focus on and he turned and ran? That's what Pete's talking about. So I always say 6 to 8, depending on what you're doing.
Now you mentioned a stick just a moment ago. So for people who may not be familiar with that tool, you're not referring to something in the saddle that you use necessarily. You're talking about, could be, but you're talking about a tool that primarily you use on the ground?
Yes, ma'am. I like to use a stick with a string or a lash for the English side of things. And it's an extension of my hand. How I describe my horsemanship is play on the ground like you're riding. So what is your stick in riding? It's your leg. What's your string in riding? It's your spur, right? What is your rope in riding? It's your rein. So why do we make it so complicated? So when I watch somebody leading a horse, I'm going, oh, you do a lot of grabbing with your reins. How did you know that? So, well, you do it on the ground. Or you sure use your stick a lot. And I said, so when you ride, are you all legs? And then I always say your belly button is your seat. You're not using your seat when you're on the ground. And they're like, what? What does my belly button have to do with anything? And I said, that's how I communicate with a horse, is through my belly button and my back and my body, and then everything else, when I lift it, is an aid to help. So the only thing that truly is asking the horse is from your belly button or your seat.
Now at the Horseman Symposium, you're going to be doing some Liberty demonstrations. Liberty is getting wildly popular among a lot of people who maybe aren't riding anymore or have a horse that can't be ridden anymore. But it also has it sounds like from what you're saying, you feel like it has a very important role in the overall development of the horse and also the rider. You use Liberty and groundwork to help the rider prepare for what they're going to do in the saddle. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So going back to play on the ground like you're riding, ride like you're playing on the ground, there's no difference. At Liberty, I teach my riders, like if you came to me and you know how to ride, you know what the inside rein, inside leg, outside rein, all those kind of things mean, a half halt, and we can go deeper into dressage, shoulder in, shoulder out, whatever we're going to talk about. What I teach is basic riding from the ground. So when we're playing at Liberty, I go, okay, let's flex our horse. So let's do French dressage. And if people know, French dressage is more flexion and bend before forward. Or we go into German dressage, more forward than flexion and bend. So when I teach, the horse doesn't do exactly what I want him to do. So they'll go, oh, he's supposed to flex and now walk away. And he starts walking. And I go, okay, we got to switch gears. So that makes it a little more difficult. But I'm going to teach how you ride the horse. So I always say we're going to the tail. So think if you were riding another horse, you would come up to that tail and then it would go inside your horse and you'd be on top of it. If you do that, then the horse learns to follow you on your path. And then we start changing positions. But then as we progress it, we'll start going, okay, now I'm going to use my outside leg. So I'm going to put my belly button on the outside of my horse to push that shoulder back over, because it might be going right when we want to go left. Or I might put my belly button in front of them and stop them as a half halt to slow them down for a second, to either get a little more flexion or to get their attention, to say, whoa, whoa, we're not doing that. Come with me.
How do you use liberty to prepare your horses for being ridden?
So what I use liberty to prepare my horses is, people don't realize horses have bubbles. We have bubbles. And that's probably my first big thing that I went, oh, we've got bubbles. And when we create our bubble, to say, you can't be in my bubble. Horses have bubbles that to the millimeter. To the millimeter. We can't tell if the horse is 6 inches too close or 6 inches away. So they go, oh, you're not a very good leader. So, and I always say, when I create that bubble, what happens? They go, oh, you probably look out for danger because you're so good at doing that. So then I've got them more connected that way. I've got them more relaxed. So but as we do the liberty, they have a bubble. And if they want to go away, I let them go away. Because they're telling me, I can't handle that, I got to go away. Because I want the willingness, not the obedience. Willingness is allowing them to do any answer. Obedience is only one answer.
So liberty kind of is a mirror of where you are with that horse on that day in that given situation.
Or
and you use that
ride,
information.
Or even your ride. So if I have a horse that runs away, and I like to use big spaces. I don't use round pins until I'm refining. So I like to use big spaces because I want that horse to go away. If they need to go away, you need to go away. And when I tell my students, when you're ready for a smaller pin, is when that blow up or that runaway is only as big as the pin you're about to go into.
Well, that's interesting. That's kind of the opposite of what I have seen with a lot of the way liberty is taught. It's you start with the closer quarters, and then when that connection is really good and you feel confident, then you take it outside to bigger spaces. So why do you do the opposite?
Because I can force a connection. So the big thing in liberty, people would say, oh, you can't force liberty. Oh yeah, you can. I've seen it many times. There's circus tricks that force liberty. And when I'm in a tight space, where's my horse going to go? And it was interesting when I was at Road to the Horse that Ryan's going to, that's where I saw it. Pat Pirelli walked into the round pen and there wasn't enough space for both of them. So somebody's bubble's got to give up. And the horse tried to jump out. And I saw it. I was like, oh, we should be playing with them outside the round pen until that bubble gets small enough for both of us to fit in it. And then I went, we should be doing this in an arena so then they can go away. And then we have what I call true liberty.
All right, let's talk about the Horseman Symposium. You're going to be doing liberty. We teased that up a little bit. Tell us what people can expect to learn over that 2 days during your part of the presentation.
How I present liberty, in fact, that I use the horse to figure it out on their own, using what nature, because it's hard to say this is how mom did it. It's my version of how mom did it. It's my version of how the herd did it. So I always say your belly button is a stick, your back's a fishing pole. So the stick is the stallion, the back is the lead mare. So I want them to follow my back and move away from my fishing pole, but I'm doing both draw and drive at the same time. Because if you only do draw, then they're just going to flex and bend around and come and face you. If you put in the drive, then they're going to start going forward.
And when someone has watched your presentation, maybe had a chance to talk with you during breaks, pick your brain a little bit, what do you hope they go home and do with what they've learned from Pete Rodda?
I hope it changes their horsemanship. Like, I hope that I gave them that little piece, and then all of a sudden I hear from somebody and they go, oh, I'm just turning my body and my horse is doing circles around me at liberty. And I'm like, you got it. That to me is the icing on the cake, is when somebody takes one piece of what you said and then puts it into what they're doing. Because that's why I created complementary horsemanship, is enhancing what you do with your horse.
All right, everybody, if this is got you thinking, you need to come to the Horseman Symposium, check out Pete Rodda's demonstration at Liberty, find him on the break, pick his brain. This is your opportunity. I hope we see you all there, March 28th and 29th. Thank you so much, Pete.